yourself. And so that's part of this. And the thing that started happening in the last, I don't know, 10 years or so is high schools are having a community service feature for their students. And again, what are they going to do? They're going to go and work at Goodwill or someplace? Yeah, you could. Probably get some skills out of it, but you could come work at Gardens of Hope. And we actually have our first high schooler. I just met with day before yesterday. They're going to start next week, and that's going to integrate into their school. And I've just connected with another school, so it's bubbling up. And so far, nobody's come over and gone, ew. They all know. All right, so that's a good sign. So that's the next thing. Internships. After we had the newspaper article, there was an NPR feature, and an intern that was working with UC Riverside was also connected with the NPR station. And so she came out, did an interview, did a really great piece, and it's out there. And she connected us with her professor that got her connected to the internship. So we're in discussion right now. But they also have internships for high schools. And we just got connected, well, not in the last several months, with the Paris Valley Chamber of Commerce. And the Paris High School just connected with me with an interest of creating an intern program for their high school, because they have a horticultural program. So I'm excited about creating it. Not that I need to create yet one more thing today, but the future of it, working with other people, we can do a lot. So I am excited about it. And then field trips. A lot of people are doing homeschool now, especially after the pandemic, when people were just homeschooling because they had to. And now they're like, oh, I'm not sending you back there. Well, what do you do though? You know, homeschooling is great for some things, and it's really not great for other things. So bringing homeschool kids to a place for a field trip activity is really important to get them out there interacting and doing things together. Plus, there's still budgets in some schools to be able to do that. So, and we have some plans to work with special needs kids, and you know, frankly, we're just throwing lines in the water and seeing what happens. So this is a really exciting time for us, because 5 years from now, it'll be a lot more structured and a lot more narrow what we can do, because there's only so much time and so much space. So as we're creating it, this is where we have all the potential, and we're seeing what is drawn to what. So it's really kind of, I'm really excited, because anything's possible, and that's the world I live best in. All right, so let's get to the gardens and the farm. So part of this is, we're a garden. It's like a park. You can walk around and just experience a garden, but it's a little working farm too, and it's getting more and more working as days go by. And that's a bigger part of what I want to see happen, because frankly, where's the food coming from? Where's the food that we eat come from? You know, do you know? Most of us are eating food that's probably not as good as it could be, certainly not as good as it was, and you know, all the problems that are coming from that. When you get into therapeutic horticulture, a big part of this is the experience, but you know what? Another part of it is, why not eat some healthy food? You get some real therapy out of that. I know in the last year and a half, since we've really been changing this and focusing on the gardens, I've been eating fresh food for a good solid year. Not that we haven't before, but now it's pretty much regular. I'm out there to pick food every time I go out there, and I've never felt better. And I'm watching people come and go, and they're leaving with a bag of veggies, and you know, you hear about them, they can't wait to come back, and I can go get some more. So that's really kind of cool. What do we grow? Seasonal fruit and vegetables. One of the things that I don't know if I really included much into the slides, but this is a big experiment. If you might gather by now, I like to tinker around with different things. And we work off of a concept of permaculture, which is sustainable farming in a way that doesn't destroy the land, farming in a way that gives back as much as it takes so that you can keep doing it. And 5 years from now, we'll be better suited than we were today without having to add chemicals and pesticides and all the stuff that a lot of farms have to do. And so we experiment. You know, there's so many different techniques that people will say, well, you just got to do this, you just got to do that. Well, we live in this information age right now where everybody knows something, and then you go and try it, you're like, oh, that's not what they were talking about. And plus, every different place, things do differently, right? You try to grow down in Orange County, you try to grow up here, it's a different looking garden. So we're figuring out what we can do in this little slice of heaven that we have, and that's part of it. So we grow fruits and vegetables, we have fruit trees, and we've continued to plant. That's one of the things that people have donated trees, and we'll take some funds that we raise, and we'll get more. We're creating what we call a food forest, and that is so that wherever you are in the landscaping, there's edible plants, there's medicinal plants, there's useful plants. You can walk to a park and see everything that's pretty, but you couldn't eat any of it, couldn't do anything. Well, that very same beauty can come with food and medicine. So we're going to demonstrate that. And as we walk around and do a certain workshop, I'll point out all the edible plants. And even there's edible weeds that sometimes we pick just to get rid of them, sometimes we feed them to the chickens, and sometimes we eat them ourselves. And if you know, you know, right? So we got berries and grapes that we're just integrating right now. We're getting ready to put up some grapevines, and we've got some berries. Medicinal culinary herbs. We do demonstrate some native and drought-tolerant perennials because, again, we live here in Southern California. It might be a wet year this year, but I guarantee you the next few years we'll be back in drought because that's what we do. We just started a cut flower garden. This is super exciting since you were here. And we planted it. We just put a fence up a couple of days ago. Wow. And so that's part of the therapy is a sensory garden. So you think about it, right? Why do you buy flowers? Well, they're beautiful. They smell good. They make you feel good. What if you could go to a place and pick your own bouquet and select the flower that you wanted and cut it yourself and then do that with intention and purpose? Be probably a pretty special bouquet, wouldn't it? You'd probably remember it. You might even press some flowers or something, but that's what we're talking about. Simple acts, simple tasks, simple projects that anybody can do. You might be motivated to plant yourself some cut flowers and do your own. So that just happened. And then microgreens, we're going to talk about microgreens. I even brought some for you guys to play around with. So that's a great thing. All right, so you were asking what kind of, this is, everything that you see here, when you see a keyword, it's a class that we teach. So this is a concept of permaculture, and it's not complete, but it's an outline. So when you're talking about permaculture and sustainable farming, we're talking about irrigation, we're talking about composting. We have a concept we call practical recycling. Do you know what happens to your plastic bottles when you stick them in the blue can? Most of them just get dumped in the landfill, and you don't even know it. And it's never what we think, and it's seldom useful. Now, there's new startups that are learning how to do stuff with waste products, and that's fantastic. But we have, as a little farm for 27 years, and there's been times where we had money and times we didn't. And I was in construction for a long time, used to bring home windows and wood and all kinds of stuff. We built greenhouses, and we've done all kinds of practical recycling. So I do a workshop on that, and we do a tour around, and we show you how you can use things that would normally just clog up a landfill and use them practically and usefully. And again, hopefully we can make a mind shift. And again, there's an element of discovery and wonder that's a fountain of youth. So you ever remember when you were a little kid and you went and wandered down a pathway and